Authors Unplugged. I'm so glad you could join us. We have got 3 Dragonblade authors with us this week. We have Alexa Aston, Cerise DeLand, and Ruth A. Casie. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Great to be here.
I always hold my breath when we're doing technology across the country. So I'm so glad that this worked out for us. So we had a busy week this week. I'm tired of saying that because I've been saying that all the time now. But Cerise, I think your book launched first. Could you tell us a little bit about it? It's Lady No More, and it's the third book in the Naughty Lady series, and it's part of the Dragonblade Flame line, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So
And yeah, well, I had great fun with these 3 girls. They're triplets, and Laurel, our Lady No More, is the oldest by a few hours, but she is older in other ways. In that she fell in love, and she was jilted, and so she is a lady no more because, of course, a woman bore the burden of having been jilted. There had to be something wrong with her. Of course, in this case, there wasn't. It was the prospective groom's fault, but I give away too much of the plot. So, anyway, she's very reluctant. He's very persistent. I had a good time with both of them because they have a sense of humor. He invites an aunt to come, who is rather a bit of work, to be his hostess. And I will say that the chaperone of the 3 girls becomes the heroine in a short story in Get Your Duke On. And
cool.
Yeah, so she used to drive her Phaeton very quickly. So the dig in Get Your Duke On was the Beach Boys, right? So I adapted fun till your Marquis takes your Phaeton away.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to be here. I love doing these 3 books. Now I just signed 2 contracts for 2 new series, and they are one is a romantic comedy series, and the other is much more serious. It's a series of romantic suspense, mystery, action, adventure, each one based on an actual mystery during the Napoleonic era in England or France or Germany.
Fun. Oh, wow. So solved mystery or unsolved mystery?
Unsolved mysteries for the most part, yes. Fun to do.
Fun. Yeah. I bet the research for that one was fun.
Yeah, that's why one must travel, right?
I think the last time we talked, you were in Paris, so
I know we had the blue hour in back of me. Now we have chaos in back of me.
Yeah.
Now all that stuff you see in back of me is stuff I brought home in my suitcase for reader rewards. So it's a mess. Plus we're moving the furniture. So blah.
The last time it was the blue light of Paris, but this time it is Paris paraphernalia, so it still counts.
Yeah. There you go.
So what's the hero like in this one, in Lady No More? Who is our hero this time?
He's a true gentleman. He tries to please everyone all the time, which we all know is never possible. Alexa's raising her eyebrows, yes. And he tries to do right by his father, who is not one you should please all the time. And he tries to do right by the girl to whom his father betroths him. And in the end, of course, he tries to do right by our heroine, and she finally sees that it's true. So, it's it was great fun to do. And in 40,000 words, you have to hustle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do have to hustle, especially if you're writing flame, because you've got to hustle and be hot too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, there has to be a certain level of intimacy that you establish very quickly to be able to keep the burn.
Yeah, keep the burn.
Probably shouldn't say to keep the burn. Alexa's melting as it is. Well, that sounds like so much fun. And I'm excited about the new series too, both of them. I think I've seen I've seen the announcement for one, but I haven't seen the other one, so that's very exciting. Yeah. It's very exciting. Yeah. So Alexa, we're getting towards the end of the Second Son series with you. No, there are more. Oh, yay!
This is
I thought there were only 5.
and it's a 7-book series.
Oh
so
my goodness! I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought it was 5, and we were getting towards the end. Oh, yay! Well, we have lots more then. That's fantastic.
Yes, the rest of the year we've got July, August, and then October and November. So the series will wrap up then. Yeah.
And it's the Made for the Marquess is this book, and it's book 4 in the Second Sons.
Yes. Once again, you can read all of mine as standalones, but if you have read the 3 previous to Made for the Marquess, you'll be a lot happier because you'll meet the 3 couples from the first 3 books. Owen teasingly calls the women the 3 cousins, and they married 3 military men and have gained their titles now. And so they are helping out Percy, who is the hero from book 4, as he comes back from war. He is very much a reluctant Marquess. He lost a beloved brother in a drowning accident. And so he's come home from war, and, Rupert was always going to be the Marquess, and now Percy is. And unfortunately, Percy is probably the shyest man on the planet. In war, he was different, leading men into war. He could do anything in battle. But if he's sitting across from a woman, he's very tongue-tied, very reserved. And fortunately, the 3 cousins and their husbands get involved and try to help bring him out of his shell. He's paired with Minta. In book 4 and 5, I've got 2 twin daughters. And they unfortunately went to visit their dad in Canada at exactly the wrong time. They get there and their mother remains in England. Her father is dying. And so she's going to wait, see him buried, and then join her husband. Her husband's the assistant to the administrator of Ontario. Well, those pesky Americans decide to break out in war. And so Minta and her twin sister, Sarah, are stuck in Canada for the duration of the war. So as Made for the Marquess opens, not only has Percy come back and inherited a title he never wanted, Minta cannot wait for her come out. Let me tell you, she is boisterous and adventurous and an extrovert. And I don't want to call her a party girl, but she is ready to make this come out. She's ready to get a husband and start that family. So it very much is an opposites attract kind of story. The one thing, though, that Minta has going for her is her twin, Sarah, is painfully shy, as Percy is. And so
she knows
insight into him than other people who meet him. And so she can look beyond the painful shyness. And that first kiss, that does it for her. And it does it for him, but he doesn't feel he's good enough for her. He's pretty come back with what we would call today PTSD. Getting nightmares. He has all kinds of symptoms that soldiers that suffer from that syndrome do. And so he just feels like she can do better than this broken officer who didn't want to be a Marquess anyway. And so that's the whole story, that them coming together, coming to understand, him trying to get over the problems he has, and her trying to show him, hey, yin and yang, it's a good deal. We can have a great marriage.
I love the setup for this whole series, but part of the problem with it is that the idea that the second son step into the first son's place is that something has to happen to the first son.
Exactly.
For that to happen. So they all seem to have kind of a tragic, tortured hero feeling, which when you have the sunshine to help it.
Sometimes the first son was not such a good guy and wasn't doing well in the title, but this is the first time that it really is 2 brothers that were extremely close. And yeah, so that's, he's going to be suffering from grief. He's going to be suffering
Mhm.
from the nightmares, and he's suffering from the fact he just doesn't know his place in the world. He's
Yeah.
stepping into a world that was never intended for him. It was meant for Rupert. And so, yeah, it's going to be difficult, but love conquers all in a romance.
Yeah, and she's outgoing and sunshiny and ready for the next thing to happen. So I love that part.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
like
like I
so
said,
much
we get her twin sister in the next story. So you kind of get the reversal of a shy heroine and a much more outgoing hero. But that's for August. We'll wait until then to talk about it.
Yeah, and then 2 more after that too. So
Yes.
that was so much fun. So much fun. So Ruth, yours is The Lady and Her Duke, and it's The Ladies of Summer by the Sea. It's book 3. The covers for these are so beautiful.
I
I
can't tell you
love the
how
brand
many compliments I get on the covers, and I have to tell you, when I was when the series first began, and I was asked what kind of covers I wanted, or I think I looked at Alexa. I looked at your covers. I looked at Maeve's covers, and they're much more romantic looking and very soft. And I just love them to pieces. So I put that on my request. I said, these are the type of covers. So when these 3 covers came, I was like, ooh. And I went, oh. The cover artist understood my books better than I did, because my stories are about the ladies of Summer by the Sea are all graduates of the same finishing school. And you can't apply to the female seminary. You have to be chosen by the headmistress. And she looks for very unique women. And each one has what some people would call an oddity. It's what a hobby or whatever. The first story was about a woman who was an author. And in 1814, wasn't the thing. And she was a well-accepted author. The second book, The Lady and the Spy, was about a woman who did puzzles. And she actually, her husband is killed. I'd get into that, but that's a whole other story. Her husband gets killed and leaves her a puzzle. And it turns out that the puzzle helps her solve an issue about Napoleon, and actually helps the government. And because the disclaimer here, he was a spy. So he hands it off to her to finish. So this book, The Lady and Her Duke, she's a lockpick.
Oh, cool.
She has an uncle who is only 5 or 6 years older than she, and the 2 of them hung out together. And he kind of tormented her a bit. And he had this box of his private things that he kept in full view, that he kept locked. And no matter what she did, she couldn't open it, until one day she just sat down and decided she was going to learn how to pick the lock. Mm-hmm. So she does. And he actually rewards her for it. They have a whole party because she did it. But she found that she likes the intricacies of gears, and she's a very good artist, and she becomes a draftsman.
Oh, cool.
So as they get older, the uncle builds a textile factory. This is the time of industrialization, and he has a partner, somewhat of a silent partner, who is utterly divine and to die for, and a duke.
We love those kind. The divine to die for dukes are our favorites.
Yes, yeah. I know. So anyway, her uncle is killed. He's murdered. But before he dies, he makes his silent partner vow in front of many people that he will marry her. He doesn't know her. She knows her uncle has a partner, but who it is, but really doesn't know him. And the following morning, the partner, our Duke Wallace, finds it printed in the paper that it's like a Mrs. Whistleblower. He finds it in the newspaper that he's going to marry this woman. So now he feels obligated. He can't get out of it. So he has to bring her uncle's body home, explain that, the uncle lost the house in a card game to the Duke. So she's lost her house.
So he's got all the stuff.
Yeah, he's got all the stuff, and she has no idea.
Oh.
So it's a pretty interesting story about how she tries to keep him from knowing what she does within the business, because she's terribly afraid that he will cut her out.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that he needs her more than he needs her for many reasons, but he needs her more than he knows. So, and there's also a Templar sword involved. Her family is in line with a Templar knight, and he had this sword that he never lost a battle. And the only reason why he was executed is because he volunteered to go with the Grand Master when the Grand Master was captured. He went in support. But before he went, he sent his sword home, and his father had the sword made for him and called it invincible. Mm-hmm. So now there's this whole, after 200 years, everybody is looking for this sword because the workers, the agitators, are looking for the sword, because if they have the sword, they feel that they will be invincible. So it's a whole story about keeping the sword away. It's under lock and key. And oh, by the way, we have a lock pick. So it's a fun. I found it a fun story to write.
And
they're
kind
of cheeky with each other, so I like that too. This story is a behind closed doors. I have not gotten to the point where I can write that kind of scene yet. So mine are behind closed doors.
So are you sweet dreams?
I would think so.
Yeah. And Alexa, I know your heat is steamy, but not flame. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm kind of in the middle of these two.
Yeah, I'm working my way up to you.
I mean, there's no. I don't think it has to be a goal. There's something lovely about being able to, because we have all the different Dragonblade lines.
Right.
You can pick what's most comfortable for you. My mother used to read for me, and she'd be like, "Okay, fine, but I don't want to know anything more about nipples. That's enough." And that's just what she wants, like, and I think one of the lovely things is knowing that you can pick a story that with a heat level that you're comfortable with, and even if that changes, back and forth over time, and you always know what you're going to get, so what you can count on not getting surprised with something you didn't want to get surprised with.
Right. I get it. I totally agree.
Well, that sounds like so much fun. So normally we talk about writing and your research stuff, but I'm eyeballs deep, and I know that the rest of the Dragonblade team is eyeballs deep in getting ready for Christmas in July. And so I wondered, do any of you have books in that collection that are coming out July 25th, the holiday novellas?
No.
They're saying no. I'm saying yes. I have two.
You have two. Because there are a lot of them. I'm just going to say it. There are a lot.
There's like 40. I mean, it's an amazing collection that's coming out. Yes. And I mean, Christmas in July is the best time anyway. So.
And I'm rolling through the covers, and the covers are all beautiful, and there's all connected to the
Albert
existing
did such a fantastic job. One of my covers I'm so in love with. I'm going to sleep with it under my pillow. Yes, my two. One is from Soldiers and Soulmates, and it's called Yuletide at Gillingham. In it, I had one of my heroines. Her name was Ashlyn. She married Reed. And she operated a school for young boys, and her house winds up burning. And so now at the ducal estate, one wing is devoted to the school. And there were several readers that wrote to me about a little boy named Edward. who had a fire mark on his face, which, you know, it's just like a port wine stain that we would call now. And Edward was a local boy, scholarship student, when all the others, you know, were sons of the ton. And so many people asked about Edward. And so I decided to continue Edward's story in it. And then he's a boy in Yuletide at Gillingham. And so Reed and Ashlyn are newly married. So you kind of get all the ooey gooey newlywed
family feels. Yay.
A little bit of Edward. And then the epilogue takes Edward to when he's an adult and how he's involved with the school. So that was very fun and satisfying to write. The other one is called The 12 Days of Love. And when in that, the theme, we all had to take a Christmas carol. And so I took The 12 Days of Christmas. And it's a novella from the St. Clair line. It's Luke and Caroline again. I've written for them once before at Christmas time. And in that novella, there was a little orphan named Boy. We never knew his name. And I had so many readers write in, what happened to Boy? Because Boy kind of runs off and then
name too.
Adopting this other girl. Well, this is Boy's story. And so I married that, and being the former history teacher I took the 12 Days of Christmas, and it wasn't a song during Regency times. Instead, it was a chant, you know, kind of almost like what we would think is a rap nowadays. And so Luke teaches all of his kids how to chant the 12 Days of Christmas. That's one of the presents he gives to Caroline. He gives her 12 days. And then, of course, the 12th day is the best present of all. And you have to read the novella to find out. But let's just say this, Boy gets his happy ending. Oh,
that sounds wonderful. That sounds like so much fun. And Christmas in July, where you are, I imagine, is a very good thing because the 3-digit Texas heat, it'd be nice to think about snowy things.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, my mom's birthday was on Christmas Day. And oftentimes I would give her a present in July. Because, so many times when she was growing up, she said she rarely got birthday presents. People would just be like, oh, that's your birthday and Christmas present. And, it wasn't made a big deal of it all. And so a lot of times I would just gift her something then so that she and her presents wouldn't be lost in the rush of Christmas and, kids and grandkids opening up, their own presents. So,
My youngest is born on the 20th, and we always did the Monday after Father's Day. We called their day, and we'd do lunch or something so that there was something that was just for the same reason, because you get kind of swallowed up in the holiday.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
We're getting swallowed up in cold and snow would not be a bad deal right now. It's hot in Virginia too. So Cerise, you're in the Get Your Duke On collection. I don't think Alexa, you and Ruth aren't in that one, are you?
I am.
You are.
Duke in Winter.
And you Duke in Winter.
Yeah.
So Alexa, you're doing Get Your Duke On too.
Yes. The summer song I picked was from Grease, one of my favorite all-time summer musicals. It's called "You're the Duke That I Want." From You're the One That I Want. And this one is Lady Elizabeth Sutton's story. She's from the Dukes of Distinction. Her brother was the Duke of Arrogance. And I'd actually planned for her to be the 5th and final heroine in the series. And I had a different heroine just come knocking in my head saying, no, he's mine. And so Sebastian wound up with Hadley. And poor Elizabeth just kind of was flapping in the wind there. And so I was glad to have this opportunity to give her her own happily ever after.
Well, I'm glad you had the opportunity too. I could do without having You're the Duke That I Want, ooh, 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 in my head for the rest of the day, which is what is going to be happening.
Yes, thank you. It's an earworm, I know.
I'm going to catch myself humming and it's like, oh man. Well, that sounds like so much fun.
Cerise, what is your story about in that collection?
It's the matron, the chaperone of the 3 Devereux girls in Naughty Ladies. And she is a widow, and she's older than the hero. So this is the first time I have written
he's a
an
cougar
older
too.
woman.
Ooh la la.
Yes, and he's home from Canada. He was in the Royal Buffs in a regiment that was located in Canada and New York, during the last few years of the Napoleonic era, and or just before Waterloo. And so his two older brothers have passed away, quite by accident, and his father is dying. And so he renounces his commission. He's a colonel, well respected, and he renounces his commission. And when he arrives in England, he quickly goes home to his father. And we don't know this per se, but he says to his father, "Dad, I'm going to Brighton for the season because my future wife is there." And of course, she doesn't know any of this. The reader is like, "Oh, really?" So we don't see that. That's off stage. So he appears in his regimentals, and he's for 25,000 words, he is relentlessly pursuing her. And she has no children by her previous marriage, and she doesn't think she can have any. And he says, "Poo-poo, I have a younger brother." No problem. And he's very interested in getting married, but it's you I want. And through much ado, he finally persuades her, and all of this takes place in Brighton, which is
we get to go back to Brighton because
yes, it is one of my favorite places in the whole world. It's walkable. It's here in the States we call it a beach town, but it's a coastal town. Everyone goes to Brighton when the Prince Regent does, and people rent houses and rooms, and it's quite a lovely gathering place for the ton. And so he goes and he takes rooms not too far from where our heroine has rented a house, and they have a few rendezvous in the middle of the night via the sedan chair barriers. Because you can't take a coach in the middle of the night because everyone will know, clop, 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 clop. So they hire a few sedan chair bearers and have a lovely time. And much to her surprise, he insists that they do get married, and then there's the twist. So I enjoyed being a widow. I'm sorry.
Despite the freedom of being a widow.
Yes, absolutely. She says, she has money. She has a house in London.
He must be something.
Yeah, she's a leader of society. She does not need him, but then of course she does.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun too. So,
yeah, it was.
And I think, Ruth, you said you were in the Duke and Winter.
Yes, so the Duke and Winter is about Shakespeare. So you had to pick a play. So I picked Love's Labour's Lost, which is a story of actually 4 couples. Now you ask, how do you do 4 couples in 25,000 words? I am doing 1 couple, and there hopefully will be 3 other books that go with it. So the story is about the original story is about a king and 3 of his friends who basically decide to create a school for themselves, and they're going to study for 3 years. They are not going to look at a woman. They're going to sleep only 3 hours a night, have only 1 meal a day, and spend all their time studying. So we have the name of my story is The Duke's Lost Love. And because I felt that in 25,000 words, they had to know each other before they got involved.
Get to that place. That makes sense.
So we have a Duke, and I wanted it happens in winter, so it's basically my Christmas story because this book comes out the 29th of December, and our heroine is coming to see about land that her grandmother has left her that appears to be in the middle of this duke's estate somewhere, because he has a vast holding. And I'm going to go to the punchline and tell you that back in her father and his father, his parents and her parents have really arranged for this to happen, because she has to go to the estate and get something and bring it back to them, and she doesn't understand why, and it's all a facade to make them meet, obviously, and fall in love. And that's what the parents are trying to do, and it works. So that's the story. But what happened was, when I spoke to my my editor, and we were talking about, I needed a snowstorm, and in northeastern England, where can you have a snowstorm that's that devastating, that's going to actually isolate them when they go to this castle? And I found this mountain range called the Pennine Mountains. I Googled it on, I did a Google search to find out more about it. And all of a sudden, I get something back on my phone about the Pennine Way. And it turns out that there is a challenge in place where a virtual tour of the Pennine Way that you walk for 285 miles virtually. You submit your mileage whenever you do it, and I do it from my watch because I have a Fitbit, and it will take me along the path. So I can see where I am on the path. I can then, because it's a Google thing, you can have that little man in the corner of your Google map, put him there, and you can do a 365-degree turn and see where you are. Every 20% of the way, every 20%, they plant a tree for you in a forest.
Oh my goodness.
At 50%, they actually feed a family. And they give you postcards. Every 50 miles, I think they send out a postcard.
Wow. That's an amount of fun.
So I thought, oh my God, I've been to England, I've been to places, but I've never been here. So what better way to kind of experience it than to take this walk? So absolutely. I am 15 miles. I'm happy to report I am 15 miles on my plan. I went and joined the gym to get on the treadmill because I was not going to walk in this heat. No. So I dragged my husband with me, so that's a good thing. My older daughter, I told her about it because she has the dog and she walks miles every day. Yeah. So she's joined. She's already 40 miles ahead of me, but that's okay. But I was so excited about it. So that's the spinoff about a Duke in Winter. But I can tell you that this whole story, because what's going to happen is hopefully the other three have met. The other three couples have met, and hopefully their story will come out afterwards in short stories.
That would be great. That would be
then
great.
We could do a box set, and they could all be together.
Yes, yes. From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's lots of good things coming up. I'm excited about all of it. The books this week, and the Christmas in July, and the Get Your Duke On, and the Duke in Winter anthology. There's always something new to read. So
yes,
fantastic. Yes. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me this week. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being here and taking the time to do it. So.
Thanks for having us. Always fun.
Enjoyed it.
Always. It is always my pleasure. It's one of my favorite things.
Yes.
So for all of you listening, I will make sure I put the links to the books in the chat so you can grab them if you haven't gotten them already. You want to make sure you get your Dragonblade book. Pre-order or release period is absolutely the best time to get a Dragonblade book, but they're a good deal anytime. And as we talked about before, you can find any heat level you want. So we've got something for everybody at Dragonblade.
Yes.
We will be back here the same time next week. Thanks so much, ladies.
Bye, everybody.